if you've got something to share and you know in your heart it's valuable, you've just got to get out your head of saying, nah, it's not working, it should be quicker, it should be this, it should be that. If you know in your heart you've got something to share, be relentless. Show up. Just show up. Every day, just for all I did was turn the phone on for 10 minutes a day.
Yeah.
Every day, that was it, 10 minutes, and that was it. And I've built a very successful business off the back of it, which thankfully, even in this time, has managed to switch over to online. With video, I found that it was an instant know, like, and trust.
Hello and welcome to the Grow Your Business with Video podcast. I'm Alex Wardle, your host, and today is a special episode because we are joined by a special guest. This is Luke John Harrison, and I'll let him introduce himself in a couple of moments, but there were quite a few reasons why I was really keen to get Luke onto the show and to interview him. We have worked on a number of video projects together over the years, so he is a client of Artifact Media. And to say that he is prolific with his marketing and particularly with using video would be something of an understatement. But again, I'll let him explain what he's been doing the past quite a few number of years to market his business using video. He is a personal trainer, he's a gym owner, and he is a coach among many other things. And he's based up in the Northeast, similarly to myself. And what I really enjoy about what Luke does is he's very much himself in his marketing. And as I say, he uses video an awful lot. He puts his personality front and center. He comes across very confident, very authoritative. You could even say, and I think he would agree, that he's somewhat polarizing as well. And there's some people who aren't going to like him, but there are lots of people who are equally going to absolutely love what he does and the way he does things. What I think is pretty much indisputable is the fact that he is different to the vast majority of people who are in his space, in the health space, and he's doing some really excellent things with his marketing. But anyway, I'll let him introduce himself and we'll get into the meat of the conversation. Some of the things we talk about in this episode are using video, unsurprisingly. We talk about Luke's backstory and how he got to do what he's doing today. We also, because we're recording this during the whole coronavirus crisis, talk about how he's adapting his business to be functioning more online rather than offline, which a lot of people are having to do. And obviously video can and probably should be a massive part of that. And we also talk about things like having more confidence on camera. And Luke shares some really, really insightful tips on how people can just start making better videos, even if you are quite averse to showing up on camera. But anyway, let's get into the interview with Luke John Harrison. Right, so I'm here today with my friend and previous client of Artifact Media, Luke John Harrison. Hello, Luke. How is it going?
How are you doing? I'm pretty good, actually, mate, given the circumstances. Adapting well, shall we say. Adapting and evolving through it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we are very much in the midst of, don't say the C word, COVID-19 quarantine at the moment. So, I imagine that has impacted a little bit on your business and how you're doing things, but perhaps we'll come on to that for sure. So for those who are listening who haven't heard of you before, perhaps, do you want to just introduce yourself and tell us who you are, what you're doing, what you're all about?
Certainly. So my name's Luke John Harrison, and quite simply, I help people overcome their laziness, redesign their mindset, and radically transform their self-confidence, health, and personal happiness. And I do that via a variety of means, most of which takes place in a private gym, but obviously not currently given the circumstances. But I've done a lot of online coaching over the years. I wrote a book, which is now on Amazon, called How to Stop Overthinking. I've done several speaking events, been a corporate speaker. I've been published in a hell of a lot of blog articles and newspapers and things like that. And basically my whole thing is I help people see a different perspective on things. And I think if anybody was to say what I help most with, I guess you could say motivation.
Yeah, brilliant. Wow, well that's powerful stuff, certainly. So how did you end up doing that then? Because there's a lot of gym owners out there, there's a lot of personal trainers, people in the fitness space. What you've just outlined there sounds, it's kind of on a bigger scale than that, really. So how did you go from, or what sort of prompted you to go from being a, whatever you would class yourself as, personal trainer, gym owner, whatever, to what you do now, which is much bigger scale.
Cool. So if I was to like describe my story, I'll not go massive into depth because, as you probably know, mate, I could talk about hours on this subject. But to basically put it in a nutshell, I was a plumber for 8 years. I've always, since I left school, I had a passion for fitness and gym and stuff and looking after my body. But a lot of the time I didn't go about it the right way. I became a plumber, which for the first couple of years was fine. It was great. I got a trade. I felt like I had a secure job, holiday pay, sick pay, all I got the Audi car. I got my own first home. I was in and out of relationships at the time, but I kind of had a life where people would think that I should be happy and I should have everything in place. But and from the outside, it looked that way, but on the inside, it was very much a different story. And I tell this, I was from school. I always, and I noticed this more and more as the years come on, that I have been brought up with a lot of insecurities. And fortunately, my childhood was very good. I had a very good childhood. I had two parents which did their best. I wasn't a silver spoon kind of guy. My mum was a charity worker. My dad was a fireman, and they did what they could. And they split up at an early age, which I think affected us a little bit more than I let on at the time. And after they split up, I think maybe that the little bit of insecurity there led to a lot of bullying at school. I started to grow my hair long, listen to alternative music. I was a little bit of an outcast, a rebel, and obviously an easy target. And bullies always tend to hang out in groups. And at the time, I didn't have the confidence or the bravado or the everything to kind of fight back. So I just went lower and lower in this shell. And it went on for many, many years, this bullying at school. It wasn't always like physical as such. It was more like mental, psychological, throwing things, chucking stuff, getting spat on, tripped up in the corridor, that kind of thing. And it was quite hard to deal with, and I think I had a lot of anger issues growing up, to the point where I used to punch walls and doors and get really angry with my mum and other people. I was short-tempered, and the gym was a way out for me. And so just upon leaving school, I found the gym, and I found that it was a great release for me. And so then I drifted into a plumbing job, and I kept up the gym and stuff along the way, and I found that it was a help. But I didn't quite have the professional side of things. I wasn't happy. And the relationship side of things, I wasn't happy. So those themselves led to like overuse of alcohol on a weekend, 10, 12 double vodkas on a Friday, Saturday night, cocaine regular using on a weekend, not usually during a week, but like a weekend, it would be a big binge, a 3-day come down, very much degrading your body, trying to restart your diet on Monday as everybody did. And I always had this underlying thing of wanting to look after my body. And then as the time went on, I learned a little bit more and more about it. I thought, you know what? I'm not happy in my job. I'm not happy with the way my lifestyle is. I need a lifestyle change. So that included everything. At the time, I was unfaithful to my partners. I was cheating on my body every weekend. I wasn't looking after my health in terms of the diet I ate. I was still in decent shape. I had muscles, and people would look and think, oh, he looks after himself. He's healthy. But I wasn't really. I wasn't internally healthy and I wasn't mentally healthy. So from that time, I took my personal training course. I got qualified. I got a business coach, and I just decided to change jobs. And obviously with that, it was like, right, I'm becoming a personal trainer and a fitness instructor. Now, what I found was everybody who was a personal trainer and fitness instructor, like the thousands that enter every year, end up going back to normal jobs. Majority of them, more than half. And to me, that was a bit scary because the thought of going back to something I hated just tore me up inside. So I thought, well, how can I be different? How can I create a little bit, I guess, of a niche? I need to be more than just a personal trainer or just a fitness. It's like anybody in any profession to say, oh, well, I'm just this. I'm just an IT technician. I'm just a dog trainer. I'm just this. No, it was like, no, I need to become something extra so that people would warm to me and I can make this not just a reputable business, but something I can be proud of to stand out, I guess. So it was kind of, I was always interested in the mindset side of things and understanding that for me, it wasn't just about getting fit. I mean, and you know this yourself, Alex, like when you're young and you're in your late teens, it's all about impressing women and, getting your ego built, isn't it? Like that's what it's about. It's always about just looking the best you can. And you grow older a little bit and you get in your late 20s, 30s, and you start to think, hang on, I need to start. It's not necessarily about settling down as such, but it's just your perspective changes. You start to realize mental health a little bit more. you start to not be so full of vanity like you used to be. Well, me personally, I know a lot of guys are. They're like, you start being less bothered about how you look and more bothered about how you feel. And it just so happens that when I took that approach, I got in the best shape of my life. I got the best business I've ever had, making the most money I've ever had. I had the most meaningful relationship when I started to focus on how I felt. And I noticed that it wasn't just about going to the gym. It was about what that made me feel. It was about how I could communicate the feeling that I got and the why on why I did it, and how I could coach people to feel like I feel. So everything that I talk about, I've took myself through. And everything that I talk about, I've actively applied to my own life before I say, look, this is the process that worked for me. I'm not saying it's 100% going to work for you, but everybody who does do it and does it effectively, it has a profound transformation on. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So from that in a nutshell, mate, hopefully that kind of answers your question. Maybe I went off a little bit there, but that was kind of where I started. And to get to where I am now, pre-corona. But we can go into that if you want to.
Yeah. No,
so does that answer, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I think there's loads of what you said is worth touching on. Even the fact that you are able to sort of tell that story as concisely and as sort of confidently, I guess, as you did. I mean, obviously that's a result of you having lived it, but also having told that story lots of times before, in your book, in your various videos that you've done online and how you communicate with people there. And obviously when we filmed together a couple of years ago, I think it was now, wasn't it? Which we'll chat about. That was a big part of it, your story. And I think it makes it just so much more, I don't know, it's just you being genuine, telling your sort of origin story, which I think a lot of people, because everyone's got an origin story and everyone has a journey that's led them to wherever they are in business and life and where they are today. But I don't think many people tell it as much as they should. But yours is very much a fundamental part of where you are today. So it's always like mega interesting to hear, and I think you tell it in a very good way. A couple of the other things that you touched on, which I think are massively important, is like when you said, people when they sort of refer to themselves as like, I'm just a PT, I'm just a dog trainer, I'm just this.
Yeah,
I think that's a massive issue that people could really do with improving on if they possibly can, to sort of, aside from anything else, to stop them kind of just drifting off into the ether of everyone else. It's a big old world out there, and we need to stand out.
Yeah, I mean, I can elaborate on that a little bit, because it's always this thing of like we're always attached to what we believe we are, right? And it's like I'm a personal trainer, I'm a plumber, I'm an IT technician, I'm a dog trainer, whatever it may be. Like I am this, right? But seldom do we actually look at what benefits we provide people and what we actually do, like the feelings we create in other people. And we take that for granted because we're just so used to having professional hat on, that this is my role, this is my position, this is what I do. But we forget, like, the transformation for me was when I got qualified and I told people, I'm a personal trainer, I'm a fitness instructor, and I started to understand as a lifestyle, it's not just what, thanks, Donald, it's not just what I wanted to do. It needed to become part of who I am. Mm-hmm. And that was a big difference for me, Alex. It was like, I'm not just a coach. I don't just like, the coach is part of who I am entirely. It's not just what I do. Yeah. It's not just, I'm a trainer. It's not just, I'm a teacher. No, this is who I am as a whole. This is part of my life now. Yeah. It's not just a job role. That's why most people are miserable, because they can only relate it to, I'm doing it just for money. And that's why most people go to work, isn't it? And that's why most people are miserable in their job, because they do it just for money. Like, yes, of course, we do it for money. Like, we need the money to let life flow and have more choices. But when we start to passionately do it with enthusiasm and enjoyment, the money flows anyway. The money starts to flow anyway. There's a difference in that. But we kind of get stuck if we get stuck on just chasing the money. I personally believe, if we just think, well, I'm just this and I'm just that. No, you're so much more than that. It's just you're blinded by what you've been taught growing up. And
Yeah.
there's so many things that come from our past that we pay no attention to, because sometimes it's easier just to block it, or we don't actually understand or realize that how we were brought up plays a lot into where we are and how the perspectives we carry right now. And what you were saying before as well, just to reiterate on that, is when we say I'm just a, or well, I just do this, it's like the language we use. I'm very big on language, and I have been for a long time now. I start to notice that the things that I say, and you'll notice this when you're looking around and you're having conversations with people, the things that people say are often what they are already experiencing in their life.
Yeah.
I don't have this. I wish I had more than that, and they never get it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Or they say that, oh, well, I'm shit at this, and they're always going to be shit at it because they're not even willing to try it said thing, because in their heart, I'm shit, what's the point? Rather than, I'm not really skilled at that. I'd love to give it another go. How can I make it more appealing? Do you know what I mean? Like, that's a totally different language to, I'm shit at this. I did it once, it was crap. It didn't work. You know, like all these things that we say, people forget how much that language, that narrative controls our entire physiology and our whole perspective of the world. Like, it determines whether we're going to move forward with taking action on the things that we say we want, or just procrastinating and sitting back and just letting life go over us. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you made an incredibly powerful and valid point that I think a lot of people will perhaps not immediately relate to, but like it's because I think a lot of the time we're quite we have resistance to that kind of thing, you know, we want to be safe, and we want to kind of believe that everything is kind of coming up roses, but I think on deeper thinking on that point, yeah, absolutely, it's like, well, yeah, what language am I using every day, and am I kind of living how I actually kind of want? And segueing from that, I think really nicely is, you know, I would ask you, so from that, what's your kind of take on communicating with your audience then, and kind of keeping in touch with your clients, prospects, leads, whatever? Everything you've just said there presumably feeds into how you decide to communicate with them online and offline, I guess. So what's your kind of ethos there?
Well, if you're talking about communication, it's ultimately the key to solving every problem ever. That is my honest opinion. Like, I believe that every problem, no matter how big, small, or in between, can be solved with effective communication. It's just finding out what that communication is, whether it's getting your kids to do the homework, whether it's getting you to get to the gym, whether it's getting to seduce your partner the right way so she does exactly what you want, right? Whether it's to get you to choose the right food more often like you know you should. It's all about communicating, how you communicate with yourself, what you speak out to others, how your body language is, what your approach is like. Like, communication is the number one form that is going to determine whether or not you're going to get what you want. And most people are just going around it the wrong way, because they're not, and this is nobody's fault. It's just people are not often prepared to accept responsibility that I need to improve my skills. That's the thing. They're just stuck with one way of communicating. The thing, it's always about being right a lot of the time. You'll notice this as well. And everybody's guilty, especially us guys, right? We want to be right. Right? There's that thing in my brains, the ego comes up and want to prove yourself, right? But sometimes it's about effectively knowing, right, how can I communicate this in a way that I don't need to be right, but I can still feel like I've got a win out of it and the other person's happy as well. Yeah, so that's all to do with communication, mate. And me personally, I know obviously you're the video whiz, and we've worked together a few times now on certain videos, and the most effective form of communicating with your audience, I personally believe, and some people will communicate different ways depending on what their strengths are, but with video, I found that it was an instant know, like, and trust. And this is huge, especially if somebody's got a business or they're trying to promote a brand or whatever it may be. As soon as you put a face to it, that's instant, like it's a barrier is broken down, because anybody can talk to anyone over Facebook in a profile picture or a sales copy, but not quite be trusting. As soon as you put a face to it, there's that instant like drop, isn't there? In that, right? Okay, the barriers are down a little bit. I still don't fully trust you, but I know you, and I'm getting to know very quickly whether I like you or not. Then the trust comes later. The trust comes after, I think, relentless consistency of sharing your message and communicating it effectively. And that's how I've managed to transfer as well the business that is offline now onto online, given the current situation. Because over the time, I've effectively communicated my message and been relentless in the consistency of it. And that's, I think, where most people go wrong, isn't it? Like, they haven't really got much of a message, or if they do, they're inconsistent with sending it. They don't have this relentless attitude, you know, that they want things to just come to them. And that's not a dig, that's just observation, isn't it? Like, a lot of people just sit back, I'll do it later, I'll do it when I'm ready. I'm not very good on camera yet. I've got too much to sort of, it's always something else, isn't it? Yeah. It's always something else. Like, some people need to pull their fucking finger out their arse and start. And they know that, and they'll be listening to this and thinking, well, actually, yeah, that's kind of a relevant point. Because, like, you can't deny that the responsibility ultimately lies with us. Like, yes, there's something going on out of our control that we can't help, but there's no reason why we can't even use this time, because let's be honest, especially if we're relating this to video and communicating a message, Alex, how many eyes are on phones right now in this time? More than ever. Mm-hmm. More than ever. So this is a prime time for somebody to reach out to somebody else and be like, this is my message, this is what I've got to say, this might help. Yeah? In a roundabout way, hopefully that answers your question.
Mate, no, honestly, like, I think I would urge the listener to go back and listen to that all again, because I think there's so many good points in there. Good. Totally. The instant know, like, and trust. I mean, obviously, like you said, I have a bit of a vested interest. You might expect that I'm going to say this, but I obviously massively agree with that. But I think, you know, even detaching myself from the video role, I mean, what other form of communication digitally online allows you to literally, you know, come one step away from being in the same room as someone to video. There's you know, I absolutely believe that you know, people should be communicating and marketing in lots of different mediums, and they should be doing things like email perhaps, and, you know, on social media and photographs and doing PR, and there's lots of different ways we can do it. But I totally agree with you in that video is so much closer to actually getting to know someone in person. And I think this is perhaps a topic for a different episode, but I think that this applies to all businesses as well, like, regardless of size. I agree. Because, I mean, and to be fair, probably especially for some of the bigger businesses as well, because most of them don't kind of put people front and center, and rather than that, it's all kind of about the brand and the message and stuff, and it kind of gets lost, and you're talking to a logo instead. But I think, obviously, especially for smaller businesses and kind of solopreneurs and people, it's massive. The relentless consistency as well. So for people who don't know, because there's one particular way that you are relentlessly consistent with video when you go live. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, and how did that all start, and how's that kind of changed over time?
Yeah, that's evolved massively, and it's like, it's weird as well, because it's at the minute, with obviously I'm not having access to anybody who's doing me videos or any professional equipment or anything. I've got my mobile phone, and I've had to go back to basics, and I'm doing daily video now with my partner just on my iPhone here, and it's the engagement and work that we're getting on that, and the content that's going out is fantastic. And it's not flash, and it's not fancy, and obviously I love being flash and I love being fancy, and it's got its place, but it's more benefit for to be useful to somebody rather than flashy, you know, to be useful. So me personally, I started about 7 or 8 years ago doing a daily video series on my phone. At the time, I probably had like an iPhone 4 or something like that. Like, and I don't, could we even go live at that time? I don't know. But it might have even just been daily video, rather not even live. Don't even know if the live feature was on your phone when I started. And I just started to do a daily video series called The Daily Boom. And it came about because, like, I've always been quite upbeat and energetic at times. Obviously, I have me off days and stuff, but I used to open the videos with a boom, like to sort of hit people and go, what the fuck's this guy doing? You know, like, it was a pattern interrupt. That's all it was. Pattern interrupt. So you turn it on, boom, what the fuck, what do? That was kind of what it was. So the Daily Boom came about, and I just started to talk about whatever was on my mind. Anything, like, from my sex life to what I was training that day, to what I ate for breakfast, to what I'd learned on this course, to past relationship breakdown, to me cat dying, to me breaking down in tears, to just all kinds of stuff. And I just started to do it relentlessly. And over the time, people started saying, but here's where people go wrong, Alex. And if there's anybody who's in business or whatever on this, at first, and for probably a very long time, you'll not get very much back from it. This is where most people go wrong. You won't get very many likes. You won't get very many shares or comments or people even saying love your stuff. You'll get basically nothing. You'll see a view count, which might fill your ego depending on what it is, but you'll probably not see much engagement because people don't really know you yet.
Yeah.
And also people are so distracted by other things that they don't fully watch your video. So there's a lot of giving without receiving there. And that turns most people off very quickly. But I knew in my mind, I was like, I know that I'm not going to get much from this, but I'm going to do it anyway. Because I had a little bit of a further vision of what I wanted to do. And so over the years of doing that every day, literally, I think I must have missed like 4 days in a year for illness or like maybe my cat die. And even the next day after that, I turned the camera on, I just broke down in tears and talked about it.
Yeah.
But like the consistency of it. Now, I meet people in the street and they're like, I've been watching your videos for years. They've helped us mentally massively. I had an email, right? Check this. I had an email late last year, because I sent daily email as well. I haven't been as consistent with that as what I have with video mine, because I just preferred video. But one of my emails last year, and this guy replied and he went, mate, I just want to say thank you. Never heard of this guy, never liked any of my stuff. Obviously, he's been following me emails, watching me videos for a bit. And he emailed us back. For one email, he said, mate, I was considering taking my own life yesterday, but I read your email. It came through at the right time. And I just want you to know I'm making a change today and I feel much better.
Wow.
And I was like, shit, man. Like, I get goosebumps when I tell that, mate. Like, because you don't know who's listening, but most people will give a few things out and they might be really valuable and someone might be watching, but yet they're not getting any response, so they think it's not working. It fucking is. If you be relentless with it. This is most people's problem, is like they're relying on motivation. Like, you don't know who you're impacting. You don't know how powerful your message can be. No matter what business you're in or what lifestyle you're in, if you've got a message to share it relentlessly. And so what I noticed over the years was that's just one case. That's happened a couple of times as well. And a lot of people now, I would go to say is probably 75% of my clients have came to me through seeing my videos at some point.
Yeah.
So most of my business has been built through video, although it's very difficult to say whether they saw a post or that friend recommended it, which made them like click and everything. But I would say 3/4 of them all said, I've been following your videos for months, weeks, years. Yeah. And that's how I've built the Total Fitness Tribe in South Shields. We've just opened a specialty coffee shop, which unfortunately got shut down, but that's just a second business venture. But we build these things because of people getting to know, like, and trust us. And the relentless consistency for me was like, I know this will pay off eventually. So for years, I did it with no return, nothing really much happening, like the odd little bit here and there. But then I started to build a business off the back of it. And it was like, shit, this is happening. So then I noticed actually this is working, but it gets to the point where, yes, you do get frustrated. There's been times where I've thought about wrapping it and where I haven't been asked to turn on the camera, where I haven't been bothered to be consistent, but everyone's so impatient nowadays. And I understand it. Like, you can get fucking anything you want at the touch of a button. Like, we know we can, like, we're entitled. The world's convenient, but yet we seem to have less time. Mm-hmm. Which is a bonkers statement, really, isn't it? We are so convenient now with what we have in technology and drive-thrus and one-clicks and all this, but we have less time. And so we'll blame time all the time. Oh, I didn't have time. Well, you fucking did. You were just fucking about on your phone. Yeah. Or you were doing something else pointless, yeah? But the message anyway, Alex, I don't mean to go on too much, mate, but the consistency part is the main thing where people struggle, is because they don't see a return straight away. And it's like, if you've got something to share, and you know in your heart it's valuable, you've just got to get out your head of saying, it's not working, it should be quicker, it should be this, it should be that. If you know in your heart you've got something to share, be relentless. Show up. Just show up. Every day. Just for a little. All I did was turn the phone on for 10 minutes a day. Yeah. Every day. That was it. 10 minutes and that was it. And I've built a very successful business off the back of it, which thankfully, even in this time, has managed to switch over to online. which is a huge advantage. Now, I've never done as much online stuff as I am currently. Obviously, we have to adapt, right?
Yeah.
But I think about part of the reason why I've been able to do that, obviously I've took a drop in numbers and stuff, which was expected. But the reason how I'm able to do that is because people have built enough of a trust to know that I can still do it.
Yeah.
And I still trust them enough to say that I know he'll turn up for us. Do you know what I mean? Like, people build that trust because of my consistency. So if you're consistent, people will trust that you trust in your message, trust in you. And then if you're in a business, want to invest in you because they realize you value what you do and you're not going to fuck about and you're going to help them get what they want.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Does that answer it? The longest winded answer ever.
Mate, please don't worry about that, because it's all so relevant and on point. Absolutely. I think you're absolutely bang on there. Yeah. And just with, the content itself, like, I totally agree that more people should be doing this, because I mean, it's not hard, is it? I mean, aside from, like, in your case, when you're mentioning particular things that have happened that you've decided to kind of share with the world that are perhaps difficult to talk about, or they've just happened, or perhaps some things certain people wouldn't want to share. But obviously, this is a very individual thing. It's up to you how much you want to share and whether you think that's going to be useful for people and stuff. But at the end of the day, what we're talking about here, this kind of showing up regularly, just using your phone, just offering something out, telling a bit of a story, something that's, making it something that people are going to get some kind of value from, be it even if it's just entertainment or if it's useful or informative or educational, whatever. It's not hard, is it? It's like, sure, at first it's going to be, because like you said, you're going to be like, oh, I can't really be chewed today, and I'm not good on camera, and I haven't done this before, and what will people say? People are going to judge me. But with a bit of practice, a bit of consistency, and a bit of just like, right, I'm going to get out of my comfort zone here and just try this, it quickly becomes really easy, I suppose. There's always, I suppose, the challenge you faced with over time is keeping it so that always thinking about the end viewer and thinking, what can I give that's going to be valuable to them? That's the trickier part. But again, that comes easy over time as well. But I totally agree that you just kind of have to just do it and put yourself out there, because the potential benefits at the end of it are just massive. And we're not talking about like designing a marketing funnel here, or coming up with like the next latest greatest bit of content or whatever. This is just about allowing your viewers, making it really easy for them to get to know, like, and trust you, which I think is massively important. So just on that as well, I wondered if you had any, because again, your experience of this is I think much greater than most people, which I think is why it's so valuable. What do you have any advice or tips for people on showing up on camera and kind of coming across at least as confident and maybe as like an authority figure, even if you don't necessarily feel that way at the moment? Like, what's your tips for people as far as that goes?
So are you talking about like if I was to give some advice to a beginner?
Yeah, so maybe someone who maybe they've done some video before, but like you said before, they've done it once, maybe they haven't seen a massive return, or they've looked back at it and thought, oh God, I'm so bad on camera. This is, let's not think about that for a while. What's your advice for having a bit more enthusiasm, perhaps coming across as a bit more of an expert, and kind of ultimately ended up enjoying the process more?
Yeah. That's a good question. I'm trying to just get in my head how I would answer that. One of the things I would say first is I never rewatch my stuff.
Okay,
ever.
Interesting.
Which people think I would, but I don't. I don't rewatch my stuff, because one thing I've learned is that often you're your worst critic.
Yeah.
Like, that was shit. I could have done that better. I should have done that better. I know that wasn't good enough. So I never watch my stuff back. And like the weird thing is now with me, Alex, is that I'm better live than I am on pre-record.
Right.
And you might have noticed this when we shot. There was like a few things that I might have had to do again, which I never have to do live again, because I kept going live and I just flow, because I want to do this and get out of the way. Like, it's not to say that I don't enjoy it. I love the process, but I'm like, I don't want to have to waste my time redoing. And I think perfection, here's actually probably my advice for that. Perfection's an illusion. progress should be at the forefront of your mind. And just you getting on camera is progression.
Yeah.
And the more you do it, the easier it will get. The reason why people feel uncomfortable is because they've got the 10 most dangerous words in their head. What will other people think and what will other people say? Those are the 10 most dangerous words which fuck people up big style. What will other people think? What will other people say?
Yeah.
So we have to understand, if we can think about what value am I bringing? I need to bring value. What point have I got to get across? Right, well, I've got 3 points I want to get across. I think a lot of people are too scared to be themselves because they think that somebody's going to judge them. Guess what? They are, and they will, and they already have. And that's just the truth. They are, they will, and they already have. They judge you on the way your hair is, the way you talk, the way you dress, what your name is, where you live, who your parents are, what you were like in school. They just fucking judge you. People judge. That's just truth. People judge in life, right? We can't escape it. So we might as well flow with it and say, right, what if I could just show up as if I was having this conversation with a friend? Like if I was just giving me, if a friend asks his advice, oh mate, what would you honestly say about this from your perspective, your knowledge, your skills? How can I do this? Well, mate, this is what I do. Because you probably notice this, like my videos, most of them are just like I'm talking to my mates. I'm just talking like this. And I know obviously I'm skilled, Alex. I know I've done it thousands of times. That comes with repetition. Repetition's the mother of all skill, as they say. And it's true. The thing is, with speaking on camera, it's confidence, isn't it? It's confidence in being yourself. Because straight away it's that voice. What will other people say? What will other people think? It's shit. I can't do it. I sound stupid. I look stupid. I hate my own voice, right? We try and it's hard to do, but take the judgment away and give the value.
Yeah.
That's what's more important. Would you rather fill your bank account or be too bothered the fact that someone said your shit on camera? I know which one I'd rather do.
Exactly.
This is especially true if somebody's trying to run a business, right? I would much rather be providing valuable content that people are going to get a big change and a big bit of value from, rather than worry about the opinion of someone I've never met who probably has a profile picture of his fucking dog. And that's true. And that's mostly how people get daft, stupid responses from. Like I've had loads of online hate, but I love myself more. And that's not an egotistical thing. It's like I value me more than I value that comment.
Yeah.
This is what people have got to understand. It's like they're going to judge you anyway. You just have to get used to it. It is hard, mate, at the start. And we all know that. Like when I first used to get me criticism and me judgment, like it's hard to deal with. Like at first, say, oh, did people not like me? Well, you know what? The statistics go about a third of people don't like you. A third of people couldn't really care either way, and a third of people love you. And I remember when I heard that, I was like, actually, well, that's all right then. I can deal with the third.
Yeah. Because
there's how many, 8-9 billion people in the world? The third can love us. Holy shit, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the way I think. Does that kind of answer your question?
Absolutely, mate. Yeah. I think, again, it's spot on. I think people just need to, for the people who perhaps haven't done this too much up to now, they just need to take heed of that advice and just start, and start small. If they don't want to do a daily live video as you have done, that's absolutely fine. By the same token, if they think that they could build themselves up to that point, I would say more power to them, because clearly it's worked wonders for your business. And like you've said, you've done lots of other things as well. It's not just about, oh, if you start doing video, your business is going to transform. Not necessarily, but it's allowed you to, it's built up your skills over time, as you've said. But the most powerful thing is it's the underlying thing almost is that it says to people, I am really consistent. Like I am always here. I care about what I'm doing here. You can see that in what I'm doing.
And I think one thing that most people go wrong as well, Alex, is kind of they're always looking for the strategy. Oh, how do I do this? How should I do that? Rather than that's why a lot of the time I don't give strategy, I give mindset, because it's not the strategy that they're lacking often. It's the mindset behind it. Yeah. It's the feelings, the emotions. That's what's holding them back. Not that they haven't got the strategy, because they know what to do. They're just not doing it because the fear is inside, isn't it? The fear is crippling them. So it's like, I'm trying to get you to see a different perspective rather than give you a how-to manual of step 1, 2, and 3, which have that place and have that value. And I've read a lot of great things myself about this and that, and definitely take it on board. But most people already know enough. You would agree with this, right? Most people already know enough. They're just not taking action on what they already know.
Yeah, totally.
They're just scared, because confidence comes from proof. You are confident in the things that you do, and you've proved you can do. That's why people are confident at work and not confident at work. That's why people are confident at camera if they've been doing it all their life, but not confident in social situations, meeting a girl, for example, because they haven't done that for a while yet.
Yeah.
Anything that we're confident in, we've proved we can do it, right? That's why people say, why are you so confident on camera? Because I've done it thousands of times. I've proved that to myself and to others that I can do it. So I'm confident in front of the camera because I've done it so many times. Just like you're confident in your job that you do every day, 5 days a week from 9 to 5 or whatever it may be. You're confident in the workspace. That's why people come to you and know that you're confident in your job, because you've proved you can do it. After all, it's a skill, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a skill. And a lot of us just don't spend enough time to develop a skill that we want to acquire because we're impatient.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And it reminds me of something that I don't know if you're connected with him, another friend and client of mine, Simon Hartley, who is a bit of many other things. He's like a sports psychologist. And one of the things he says is you need to look for the green shoots of success. So a lot of the time, especially if you're starting something new, something you haven't done before, it as to your point earlier, it's easy to kind of gloss over the early signs of progress and of success. So for example, you might do that first video that you haven't done any previous videos or anything, put it out there online and get like a very minor response. And then think, oh, well, I failed, or it hasn't done well, so I'm not going to try that again. But actually, there might be a green shoot of success in there, being one person really liked it, or you got one comment saying, this was great, nice one. But you have to look for those. You have to actively look for them, because that is the proof of the that will allow you to become confident eventually over time. And obviously, people shouldn't expect a wave. They shouldn't expect like the first video that they create to go viral, for example.
Yes, exactly.
Which I think a lot of people ultimately do.
Coffee wants this to go viral. That's why she's in the shop.
We certainly don't mind cats on this podcast. That's absolutely. I've shut my door so mine don't get in. Yeah. Awesome, Luke. There's been so much valuable info on this episode. I can't thank you enough for sharing that. Where can people go to find out more about you, about what you're doing, and to get connected with you, which I highly recommend people do, by the way, because you've got so much content out there already.
Cool. So first and foremost, the most valuable thing I can give somebody, which they can have for life, is the free copy of my audio book, which people can get at overthinkingaudio.com. That's overthinkingaudio.com. That's my How to Stop Overthinking book, read by my voice, if you can manage it for 4+ hours. Just speaking the book, basically, which is very valuable on how to change your perspective on things. It tells a bit more in depth about my story and the strategies I use to overcome and deal with things. That will also get onto my email list, where you'll get daily motivational emails to change your perspective, help your mindset, and also Facebook, Luke John Harrison, Instagram, Luke John Harrison, where I upload daily videos on perspective, mindset, fitness, health, looking after yourself, keeping motivated. There's well over 1,000, well over 1,500 videos on my Facebook, well over 1,000 blog posts on my Facebook, 4+ hour audio book. You can get my book on Amazon, How to Stop Overthinking. There's just loads, mate. Just basically any way you can keep in contact with me, I'm happy enough. If you send me a message, I'll respond. But the biggest thing I would say is get the free audio book, because that's where most people are going, and that's where most people are finding that, especially in these times as well, being so isolated for most of us, having that ability to just listen to something which is changing your perspective is huge. So that's what I would say. Get my audio book, add us on Facebook, Instagram, and just keep in touch.
Fantastic. Sounds good. Yeah, I would back that up. And I think especially the subject matter, overthinking, a lot of people probably are doing a lot of overthinking at the moment when this podcast goes out. So yeah, absolutely. Well, Luke, thank you again so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's always good to hear from you and to speak about these things. Perhaps we can do it again sometime, but I hope I've no doubt at all that people have got a lot from that. So thank you once again. And I hope you have a productive and an enjoyable quarantine as much as you possibly can.
I'm sure I will, mate.
Amazing. Thanks so much, buddy.
Cheers, man.
Cheers. Big thanks to Luke again for that interview. I really hope you got as much from it as I did. Quick little sign off from me. As I say, we are recording this in the midst of the whole coronavirus thing. And a few weeks ago, when it all started kicking off, I realised that there would be quite a few people who would probably be struggling and panicking to adapt their businesses to deliver their service online rather than offline, which we obviously can't really do at the moment. And so I offered to do a live stream on Facebook to kind of cover the different ways that you can use video to market your business, but also to act as a service delivery medium for your clients as well. And people seem to really want me to do that, so that's what I did. The live stream is a couple of hours long. It's on my personal Facebook profile. The link is in the show notes of this episode. You can find me on Facebook as Alex Wardle. And if you haven't checked it out already, I'd highly recommend you do so. I put quite a bit of time and effort into it because beyond anything else, I just wanted to help people out because I knew that, as I say, a lot of us are kind of panicking and wanting to adapt our businesses as best and as quickly as possible. So I cover quite a lot in detail on that. I talk about the fundamentals of what kind of marketing videos you should be doing and how often. I talk about how the different mediums that are available to use video to actually deliver your service to your clients and kind of adapt it that way. And I also talk about some of the technology that you'll need, the equipment, but nothing that you know the average person couldn't do, even if you've never really delved into video before. So as I say, if you want to watch the replay, head on over to my personal Facebook profile. And if you enjoy it and you get a lot out of it, then do leave a comment or send me an email or something. And yeah, hopefully that'll help you out. But anyway, until the next episode, I'll see you next time.